When I got started with Gigcasters around 2014, we were doing a lot of pay-per-view concerts. And so our metric and our clients' metric was ticket sales. And how many tickets did we sell? Did it, did it cover production costs? What was the split with the band, et cetera? And yeah, I think that's still a good and valid metric. And I think that pay-per-view has more legs now than it did 6 or 7 years ago, just because people, they can't get out to a venue. And so, they're thinking, okay, well, I now understand that I need to support these artists, and ticket sales is one of the ways I can do that. Virtual ticket sales for pay-per-view. And then in another case, we had a client that had a subscription OTT app, and so they would measure success by how many subscribers did they have on a month-to-month basis, and was that number trending up or down? I think these are the old metrics, and I do believe that there is a new set of metrics coming in. And a lot of this has to do with the entrance of brands, large and small, into the streaming space, recognizing that they're going to be spending their ad budgets on streaming. They spent them on streaming last year because they had to, because let's say you were maybe the title sponsor of a music festival and that music festival went away. Where do you put that ad money, that ad budget? And so we saw a lot of that shift to streaming, and we were measuring success again in terms of impressions and eyeballs, and it kind of tracked from a technical standpoint the same way that the early days of internet advertising tracked. Like first you looked at impressions, and then you looked at maybe engagement. But I still think there is another set of metrics that are going to emerge and that we need to be looking at. And this also kind of relates to the previous point about smaller audiences, specialty content. And what John said was really great, in that you need a cadence, right? You have to, you can do one event and you can dump a bunch into that one event and hope that, you strike it rich on that one event. But for some brands, they can be successful with a smaller audience if they get that audience coming back every week because the audience likes the content. So we work with a company that manufactures barbecue grills, and they have a regularly scheduled live stream with their brand ambassadors that are barbecue pit masters and chefs. And so the audience is people that own these, but also people that enjoy the content and enjoy using the barbecue grill and cooking on it. And so they want to come back over and over again. And so they're really building up a loyal fan base and really engaged viewers. And that's a little bit tougher to measure, because now you're trying to track not just numbers, but across social media, you're trying to track repeat views and get a handle on, how loyal somebody is. And so I think that's going to be the next generation we see as people begin to, as brands begin to embrace streaming content more and more.
For metrics in this industry, it's hard to dismiss the fact that probably one of the most disrupted industries on the planet is the advertising industry, right? A $503 billion industry where the old school mentality is realizing that people are moving to their connected devices to consume content, and the average consumer attention span is now dropped from 12 seconds down to 8 seconds. And I see this in a lot of conversations with our bigger brand clients. The power of live streaming, the real most important metric is average, hour watch time by the audience. And if done properly, the advertiser can address their three of their biggest challenges: cord cutting, ad blocking, and brand safety. And we see people tuning in and watching, if this is done properly, for significant blocks of time. Average watch time could be 6, 8, 12, 13, 18, minutes. Could be an hour in certain cases.
Yeah, I see an hour in some cases, and there's a sharp ramp, and then it hits a plateau if you're watching like the real-time tracking, and they watch the whole time, and you see relatively good alignment between the peak viewer count and the average viewer count, and unique. So that people are really staying engaged.
Yeah, and I think that the marketers care more about that than they do the size of the audience. So this is applicable. You could have a niche piece of content, but if you can engage that audience for a significant watch time, that's super valuable to brands and brand marketers. And I think that's the real powerful metric. And, I spend a lot of my time convincing brands to take some of their traditional media spends and invest it into this industry, because the results it's far more economical than buying, traditional TV time. The consumer that they're trying to reach is probably not watching Law and Order on Thursday night on NBC and sitting through the State Farm ad. But if you give them access to live video, they're going to watch again for that sustained amount of time. That's very, very powerful, especially now more than ever.